So one of the benefits I get working in psych is that you get to have raw conversations with people. And I think I've mentioned in previous episodes that I work with a lot of men who are basically living in a psychiatric facility, some of them for years already. And when I say like raw conversation, people tend to be a little bit more open, especially in a psych facility when it comes to their mental well-being, their actual thoughts. I tell my students all the time they actually live with almost no filter now. And there are things that come up a lot with our patients there. And, one thing I do want to talk about is regret. It's something that I hear a lot from the men there. Either they wish they had seen it sooner, or they knew it was coming, but they didn't prepare well enough. Now, you've heard of the saying, it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. Another way that I've heard it is, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And I took that to heart, especially from what I've seen and what I've heard men say, especially in their stages of life. And it makes, every time we talk about certain things, like, it makes me reflect on my life and what I do and how I approach my life now, especially as a husband and a father. There were times in the past, this is before we even had kids, that I knew bad things can happen, but I guess I was too arrogant, a little bit too confident in myself. And obviously there are times for those types of conversations, but I knew that bad things can happen to everyone. No one is exempt from hard times. And there were times where I actually regretted not preparing enough. Not even just for me, but my ability to perform for my wife, to perform as a husband. And those times are what I regret not preparing enough for. When times are good, the times of peace, we enjoy sitting in the garden during the easy times. And there were times where I should have prepared more. There were moments where I wish I had prepared more. After what happened to me and my wife, I made it a point to always try to be prepared. That's the number one thing as a husband and as a father, or as a leader who has people depending on them. Whether you're an educator, when I think of my students, I look at it the same way. Is that if I don't show up prepared for what can happen, then everyone suffers. Like, just simply showing up to clinical, obviously expecting good things to happen, expecting good experiences. I always have to be prepared for bad experiences or difficult times, especially while we're on the unit where there's high risk. Bringing that to me and my life now, I make it a point to always try to prepare now for whatever might be coming. If you think about during 2020, when no one expected what actually played out, all the panic that we felt in the community, the panic buying, the scrambling for supplies, scrambling for food, all that increased stress and panic that everybody dealt with, there was a time where I wished I prepared more for all that. So now that times have settled, I felt that sense of maybe relaxing for a little bit, maybe taking it easy for a little bit. I remember during COVID, like, I didn't find the need to work out because everyone's staying home, nothing to prepare for. There was no event to prepare for. So I relaxed. And that's when I truly felt like I was getting weaker. And when hard times actually hit and we're not prepared for them, like I said, everyone ends up suffering for that. Those times where wars of life hit, it exposes your underpreparedness for one, but it also exposes your weaknesses as a man, as a husband, and as a father, as a leader. When you get exposed like that, people tend to lose respect for you. Now, I know my kids are younger and they probably don't understand that. And nor would my wife even admit that. But I know that at the end of the day, the respect that I have from people, it's solely based on how I can actually perform my duty, my responsibilities, and how I can show up for everybody. The regret that I felt was being underprepared. And underpreparedness costs us not only ourselves, but it costs us the people that we love the most. When I got exposed, I realized that the only way through is to simply own it. There are times where we feel like we let people down, and it might be one of the hardest things to check your ego and admit that we weren't prepared enough or that we were wrong. But you have to be able to own the shortcomings. You have to be able to own the mistakes. You own how when hard times hit, we might have froze. We were so unprepared that we didn't know what to do. Ownership is the start of building strength for the climb again. So the principle of the more you sweat in times of peace, the less you bleed during war. Life is full of struggles, battles, hardship, hard times. So if we haven't been preparing for hard times, maybe before they even hit, we can actually start now. Now is the time to start preparing for hard times. When things are good, and I would argue they're not even that good anymore. But I wouldn't say it's too late. We prepare now so that when the hard times do come, you're the reliable one that people can lean on. At the end of the day, the more we train, and I'm not just talking physical training, I'm talking mental and emotional training. I'm talking preparing for a crash in the economy, preparing for confusing times, disorienting times. When you train in these times of peace, not only can you just survive hard times, you're able to have you and your family thrive and be victorious in times of struggle, times of confusion, times of war. Not just physical, but mental, spiritual war. I think there's a calling for men who have a lot of people depending on them. This is the calling now. A Mindsman trains for the hard times, in the good times. If he trains now in all aspects, and I'm talking all the 5 fires, the core 5 fires that our life depends on, the things that we worry about every day, put the work in on all 5 of these fires, you would at least have 3 of these fires still burning strong. And these fires that burn strong can actually light up the weaker ones. If we have all 5 fires lit, especially during the cold times, during the winter, imagine how much warmer your house and your home could be. In reality, the time to train is always now. Storms are coming for everyone. And it's not going to stop. That's life. You prepare for the storms so that they don't break everything. And if you have that foundation, a strong foundation that's sturdy enough to withstand the storms, once the storm passes and there's good times again, we can build from a stronger foundation. In a couple of weeks, the Mindsmen community is opening up. You can click the link in the description. The Mindsmen community app is where men can meet, talk about friction in all the 5 fires, talk about how to fuel them, and ultimately gain ways to strengthen the fires. So if that sounds like you and you resonate with anything that the Mindsman has produced, I would ask you to check the description below. Click on the Mindsmen community app. There's always a seat and it's always open to every man. Anybody that wants to be the best version of themselves. Anybody that's wanting to be the reliable one in their family's life. There are other brothers that are already in the app. We see each other on the path and we're always finding a way to support each other. Being on this road, having this perspective, I'll admit it's pretty lonesome. There's times where you feel alone. And the Mindsmen community app is what I made to help men feel like there are other men out there going through the same thing. So hopefully I can see you on the inside. Join the Mindsmen community.